Oliver Brandon was a rich man, very rich, and a thoroughly nice guy. His daughter, Lucille, for all her riches, was a painfully shy girl. They were on vacation now in the Bahamas. They'd earned it. They'd worked hard, giving money away through the Brandon Research Foundation. They were enjoying themselves skin diving. They weren't using diving lungs because they were out for game. And in these waters, scuba is forbidden to the fishermen. So, they were out to catch their breakfast with just the air from their own lungs. I'm Mike Nelson. I was in Nassau on a salvage job. That morning, it took me to a meeting at Government House. My work kept me from joining the Brandons. The Brandons had some luck. Bad luck. They caught a strange and beautiful fish.
All right, baby, breakfast is ready.
Hi, Dad.
Come on, honey, let's have a go at that crazy fish we caught this morning.
Think it's edible?
Why, sure.
The fish looked like good eating, but it made a deadly breakfast. It was to have a weird effect on these two friends of mine. I thought that I had no part in their affairs that morning. Yet within a few hours, because of that fish, they both tried to kill me. Later that morning, I took Lucille Brandon out on my boat to go sponge fishing.
That's the right idea. Just give it a little harder yank, huh? Good. You're gonna be a terrific sponge diver.
Thank you. Let's try downstairs, shall we?
All right. Shall we? Hey, I didn't notice that before. Who's the lucky guy?
What do you mean?
That's an engagement ring, isn't it?
Well, no. My father gave it to me.
Oh. How come it's on this finger?
You know.
Oh, I don't.
Well, it keeps people from bothering me.
Oh, you mean people like me, huh?
Oh, good heavens, no. I like you very much. Well, I mean, you know.
I was just kidding. Let's go sponging, huh? Lucille. Hey. What's the matter?
Oh, too much sun or something.
Well, hit you all of a sudden, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Listen, we don't have to go sponging, you know.
No, I want to, really. I just felt dizzy for a moment. I feel all right now.
How long ago did you have breakfast?
Hours ago. And I don't have indigestion
or vertigo, or sinus, or an earache.
Lucy.
Whatever had bothered Lucille, it didn't show now. She seemed perfectly normal as we descended to the sponge beds. Lucille held the sponge hook as if it were a weapon instead of a tool. Suddenly, it became a weapon, and she came at me with it. I had all I could do to keep her from hurting both of us.
Mike! It's so dark. Cold.
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
You're gonna be warm now. It's all right.
Oh, it's the end of the world.
Stop it.
There's nothing left. Earth, sky, nothing.
Stop it, sweetheart. I'm right here with you now. Everything's all right.
It's the end.
Don't talk like
It's
that.
finished.
Where do you think you're going? Wait a minute. Come
Let me go.
Stop it.
I have
You're
to.
not
There's
making
nothing
sense.
left.
Stop it now.
There's nothing left.
When we got ashore, I rushed Lucille to the hospital. She was still in a severe state of shock, but I had radioed ahead, so the staff was ready to begin treatment immediately. A medical detective also began searching for the cause of her illness. Dr. Alan Clark, a biochemist and a friend of mine.
Hello, Doctor.
Hello, Mike. How's Miss Brandon now?
Oh, she's much better. I'm gonna call her father. Thought I'd check with you first. Find anything?
Yes. Those hallucinations of hers were chemically induced. No doubt about it. But from what source, I don't know.
Chemically induced, huh? How?
Certain drugs, certain foods contain chemicals called hallucinogens.
Oh, yeah. You mean like those magic mushrooms down in Mexico, huh?
Precisely. It's most unlikely, though, that she ate any of them. Do you happen to know what she did eat for breakfast?
How would I know that? Wait a minute. They invited me to go fishing. Maybe they had fish for breakfast, huh?
Mike, last winter, a new, very odd fish turned up in the Everglades. New to science, that is. The Indians have known about it for centuries, it seems. They call it the Dark Evil. Here's a news story on it. Tell me what you think.
When eaten by humans, it produces hallucinations of hopelessness. Grief, despair. The victim alternates between suicidal and homicidal impulses. That's it, Alan. They must have caught just that kind of fish.
They?
Yeah, she and her father.
And her father's in the same condition she was. We've got to find him at once.
I doubt if he's there at the cottage. Well, we'll give it a try, huh?
Dr. Clark here, Enid. Put me through to the police, please. Yes, he is. Very well, I'll tell him. Miss Brandon's asking for you.
Maybe she knows where we can find him. I'll see you later, huh?
We didn't know then that my phone call to the cottage had triggered Brandon into action. We didn't know either what action he had in mind.
I'm sorry. I just can't seem to think anymore.
No idea at all where he might have gone, huh?
No. Lytton Key.
Huh?
A new foundation project. An oceanography institute Dad wants to set up. He's been out there many times.
I'll get on it right away. You take it easy now.
Mike, be careful with him.
I know what your father means to you.
No, I meant, don't let him hurt you.
To Brandon, in his crazed state, the two girls were not part of the beautiful underwater sights of Nassau. They were deadly enemies who had to be killed immediately. They saw the knife and reacted fast. The girls had escaped, but Brandon was already heading in another direction. When Brandon reached the dock, he found a boat. Suddenly, he realized which dock it was. The one at which explosives were stored for dredging operations. To his clouded mind, the boat and the explosives called for one thing: action. Brandon left at top speed, a crazed man with a cargo of nitroglycerin. A strangely poisonous fish had been caught and eaten by two friends of mine, Oliver Brandon and his daughter, Lucille. She had been given medical care in time and was recovering from the murderous hallucinations caused by the fish. Her father, the noted philanthropist, was still at large in a stolen speedboat. The police and the helicopter patrol were on the lookout for him. We were after him, too. Inspector Lyons of the Nassau Police and I. We already knew that he'd smashed up his cottage and then tried to stab 2 girls underwater. We didn't know that he'd also committed a robbery. And as a result, at any moment, he could turn into a human bomb.
His daughter did suggest Lytton Key, didn't she?
Yeah? She seemed to think he might be out there.
Good thing it's fairly deserted this time of the day. Wouldn't want him stirring up any more trouble.
Now, let's keep our fingers crossed, huh?
This is helicopter pilot, over.
Thanks. Helicopter patrol. This is WM2050, Inspector Lyons, over.
Just sighted Mr. Brandon in an outboard motorboat heading out the channel. When he saw me, he altered his course. He's making for the lighthouse now, over.
Fine. That's the heading we're on now.
Well, you should overhaul him in a few minutes. Out.
Out.
Oh, that's a lucky break.
WM2050, this is Nassau Police, over.
Nassau Police, this is WM2050, Inspector Lyons, over.
Just established that motorboat which Brandon is driving was stolen by him from Horlesham Dock. He overpowered the guard and stole a quart can of nitroglycerin, over.
Good grief. Acknowledged. Now, the harbor area is to be cleared at once. All small craft, all swimmers, everyone. Understood? Over.
Yes, Inspector, out.
A quart of nitroglycerin is enough to blow up the lighthouse.
We better see that we get there first.
I think we've got him.
You sure it's Brandon now?
Absolutely. He's in diving gear.
Oh, yes, huh? I better get into mine. Take over the wheel.
All right.
Don't get too close.
No fear of that. I've seen nitro go off.
Get this boat out of here, Inspector, fast.
There he was, Oliver Brandon apparently did intend to blow up the lighthouse, unless I stopped him. He changed course. Some new hallucination must have entered his mind. What was he after now? I could have rushed him, but I didn't dare make him drop that nitro. The excursion boat anchored in the channel. By some new delusion, this was Brandon's target now. One tap of that can of nitro against the hull, and we'd all be goners. The tourists, Oliver Brandon, and me. The chemicals in the poisonous fish must have given Oliver Brandon some kind of super strength. I had a chemical going for me, too, adrenaline. I got his weight belt off and took away his mouthpiece. The combination sent him to the surface.
Remarkable recovery, really.
Yeah. The hallucinations are completely gone now. I don't think Mr. Brandon even remembers what he did.
Doesn't he now?
No?
Splendid. You know, I don't think we will either. He's much too good a friend of the colony.
Okay, Inspector. Goodbye.
Well, when are they going to arrest me?
They're not. You're much too good a friend of the colony, so they say.
Oh, believe me, from now on, I'll try to be one. And one of yours, too, Mike. You can't be paid for what you've done, but you just name it and it's yours.
Well, there is a little favor I'd like to ask of you.
What is it?
This ring of yours. You think you can get your daughter to wear another finger? It's a little discouraging.
Still discouraged?
Well, now,
Still discouraged?
Oh, no, not at all. Hi there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. Skin diving is certainly a lot of fun, and it's full of adventure. See some more of it again next week, huh? When there'll be another excursion into that fabulous underwater world of Sea Hunt.
In the rich marine world of Cato Bay, I was the only intruder. Small wonder. These were cold waters for diving, even in a wetsuit. But I wasn't down here for fun. A hard-headed construction company was paying me for every chill. That's how I keep eating. My name's Mike Nelson. It was a survey job, plotting the problems that the engineers would have to solve in running a pipeline across the bottom of the bay. I'd been at it a week now. I was just about halfway across. Except for the zero-type weather, I'd run into no trouble to speak of. This job was so routine, I had to keep reminding myself, the way a driver does on a turnpike, to check my gauges and observe the other rules of survival, like quitting at the right time. I didn't notice the dinghy tied to the stern of my boat. It turned out that I should have.
Mike Nelson, isn't it?
Ah, that's right. You, make a little tour of my boat?
Uh-huh.
I don't think we've met, have we?
No, reckon not. I'm Sheriff Walsh. Ed here is my deputy.
What can I do for you?
You're under arrest.
I'd been diving in Cato Bay all week. The few people I'd met hadn't seemed very friendly, but I hadn't thought they'd meant anything by it. Now I knew better. I'd just been arrested. But why?
Law's the law, Mr. Nelson.
You mean there's no diving in these waters?
That's right. These waters have been restricted for more than a year now.
All I'm doing is making a survey.
Well, it makes no difference what you're doing. You can't do it.
But the Twin State Construction Company has hired me to do this job. They intend to lay a pipeline across the bay for communication lines.
Oh, they do they?
If you don't believe me, you can check. There's a ship-to-shore radio phone.
Oh, I don't have to check. These waters have been restricted for any kind of diving now. There's an ordinance on the book that says so. Let's don't have any more argument about it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Call the biggest corporation lawyer you got. Ain't nobody big enough to say you're going to dive here when I say you ain't.
Coast Guard, this is WM-205, over. Coast Guard, WM-205, over.
Sheriff Walsh didn't seem to care that the pipeline project tied in with national defense. The Coast Guard cared a lot. Commander Cornelius said he'd look into it at once. But all this time, my boat was heading away from the base, toward Cato City, with Walsh's deputy at the wheel. Cato Bay doesn't seem the same somehow. Cato City either, for that matter.
Same as what?
As it did the last time I was here, about 3 years ago. Used to be a ferry line across the bay, wasn't there?
Yeah, we got rid of that. Been lots of changes around here lately.
Good ones?
We think so, mister. We got Frank Johnson to thank for that. He's running the Fisherman's Cooperative now.
He is, huh?
Yes, he is. And that's what keeps Cato City going, and the folks in it able to hold body and soul together. They couldn't do that when Craig was running things. Unless you'd want to get down on your knees to him.
Yeah, I remember. He was kind of a dictator, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. But Frank Johnson's as good a man as Craig was a bad one. He's made Cato City a good place to live in. And I aim to keep it that way.
How? By arresting me?
At the Coast Guard?
Uh-huh.
Hello, Mike.
Hi, Lieutenant.
Commander Cornelius radioed us. You running into some kind of difficulty on your survey?
Yeah. Sheriff Walsh doesn't like the idea of anything swimming around in the water that isn't a fish.
What do you mean?
Ask him.
I don't get it, Sheriff.
Well, we got an ordinance against diving, and I aim to see it's enforced.
You know, that sounds like a peculiar ordinance. I'd like to have a look at it.
Oh, no, that won't be necessary. You don't have to go to all that trouble.
No trouble at all. Let's make for port.
It turned out that there wasn't any ordinance, and that the sheriff of Cato City had no jurisdiction in Cato Bay. Wyatt Walsh decided to make trouble for me just now, after leaving me alone all week. Maybe I'd suddenly come close to something that he didn't want me to find in Cato Bay. So, I headed back to find it. I must have been wrong. I'd searched the bottom of this ice bucket for the best part of an hour, and I hadn't come near finding a thing. The middle of a bay is an odd place to find anything that didn't originally belong in a boat. And this sure didn't. It was a license plate for a commercial vehicle, a truck, I'd say. It had been issued about 3 years back. What was it doing here? No, it wasn't my problem. But something told me it would be worth my while to solve it. My boat was gone. My diving flag, too. That meant someone had cut her adrift. Walsh, maybe, out of pure spite. Or for a worse reason. Maybe a smoke flare would bring me some help. I doubted it, though. I was 12 miles out. "20 minutes later, I was sure no help was coming. I'd have to make it to shore on my own, if I could. I ditched my tanks. They were just about empty. I took one last look around and started my unplanned marathon. "4 hours is a lot of swimming. I was plenty tired. Still nothing in sight. I didn't know how much longer I could keep going. Then, out of the blue, help appeared. Luckily, the boat headed straight for me.
I'm sure glad you came along, mister. How much farther is it to shore?
Quite a ways. Sure admire you for trying it.
I didn't have any choice. I was diving. Somebody cut my boat adrift.
That's so? Found a boat a while back, a cabin cruiser.
Oh, where'd they take us, you know?
Yeah, Purcell's docks, that's where we're heading. Sad thing, cutting a man's boat loose.
Yeah, you can say that again. Plenty sad.
Hey, I recollect hearing about you. You're that fella's been doing that, exploring at the bottom of the bay.
Something like that. I'm making a survey for a pipeline.
Folks here against it. If I were you, I'd leave off diving in Cato Bay.
I'm sorry. When I start something, I like to finish it.
A man can't always do what he wants to. Never sometimes. What are you doing with that?
I found it down below.
Why would you go and put yourself to the bother of bringing that up?
Just my curiosity, I guess. Why would a thing like this be out there in the bottom of the bay?
It's just a piece of tin. If that was me, I'd throw it away.
My curiosity about that piece of tin stayed with me all the way to shore. The minute we landed, I wired the State License Bureau. They answered promptly. The plate had been issued to Emmanuel Cragg, 1053 Palms Avenue, Cato City. At 1053 Palms Avenue, I met Mrs. Emmanuel Cragg. She threw me quite a curve.
And you don't know?
Don't know what?
Craig's dead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Cragg.
No need to be. Nobody else is, including me. Was a time I would have been. That was long ago.
How long ago did he die?
He's been missing a couple of years now.
Oh, then he might still be alive.
No. No, he's quite dead. I'm sure of that.
Well, doesn't the fact that I found that license plate at the bottom of the bay change things a little? I mean, isn't it possible?
Please, I don't want to listen to morbid theories about my husband. He's gone. That's all there is to it. He's gone. And this thing means absolutely nothing. Just don't want you to go to no more trouble about it.
Trouble?
Well, I mean, I don't rightly know what I mean. I just don't want you wasting time looking, that sort of thing.
Looking for what?
How'd I know? Anything. Fact is, this simply doesn't matter.
Oh, I'm sorry to have bothered you, Mrs. Cragg. If by any chance you would like to see me again, try the bottom of Cato Bay. I might just be there.
It was along in here that I'd picked up the license plate. So that's where I began looking for whatever else it was that Mrs. Cragg didn't want me to learn about her missing husband. That had to be it. The commercial vehicle for which the plate had been issued. A truck, or what was left of it. Craig's truck. One look told me Craig hadn't drowned in his truck. I'd found something that explained a lot of other things to me. I saw a boat directly above me. I knew it couldn't be mine. Whose then? And what was it up to? Now I knew what that boat was up to. It was built to catch a lot of fish at one time. Fighting it only turned the net into a spider web, with no way of breaking the strands. Something had to give within minutes, or I'd had it. I'd drown in this spider web on the bottom of Cato Bay. I made one last try at getting my knife to cut myself free. No use. Now a knife was coming straight at me, and the diver behind it seemed to have just one object in mind. I was wrong. He wasn't out to get me. He was out to cut me free.
Yeah. Thanks to you. What's your name?
Ted.
Glad to meet you, Ted. Very glad. You saved my life. Hey, tell me, how'd you happen to be out here anyway? What are you diving for in the middle of the bay?
Well, the fact is, I wanted to meet you. I don't get much of a chance to talk shop with divers like you.
You didn't throw that net down on me, did you? I'd sure like to know who did.
Well, what's the difference? I didn't do it on purpose.
You saw that truck down there.
Yes?
I'm pretty sure it was Craig's. And somebody didn't want me to see it. And if I did see it, they didn't want me to tell anybody about it. But I'm going to.
Well, who are you going to tell? Sheriff Walsh?
Frank Johnson.
Why him?
He's the head of the cooperative here. He's a good man, I understand. I'd rather tell him than that sheriff.
Well, you can usually catch him out by the banks this time of day, a couple of miles farther out.
Huh? You want to go with me?
Sure, I'll come along.
Hoist the anchor for me, will you? Ah. Hello again.
Hello, mister. Mr. Nelson, this is my father. Dad, this
Your
is...
father? Frank Johnson? Hey, why didn't you tell me this before?
Well, what does it matter now?
Dad.
Why did you go out and save him?
I was on my way to see Mr. Nelson when I saw you lose your net. You didn't know he was there. It was an accident, wasn't it?
No.
Look, don't listen to me. Don't know what he's saying.
You try to kill me just now? That doesn't make sense. You saved my life the other day.
No, I didn't.
What do you mean? I could have drowned if you hadn't happened along when you did.
I didn't happen along. I came looking for you. I knew you'd be in trouble.
You did?
I cut your boat adrift. And later on, I felt I'd done wrong. I had no call to do that to you. Not even knowing if you'd found it yet.
Craig's truck? So, it's been you all along. You were the one who didn't want me to find it, huh?
That's right. Because then you know that I killed Craig.
That's enough, Dad. They can't prove a thing.
Yes, they can. I was driving the ferry in those days. The only way that truck could be where he found it is if it came off the boat.
Why? Why did you do it?
That doesn't matter now.
Tell him why. You were man enough to do it, tell him.
The boy's mother was sickly. She died. There wasn't any money. Craig sold us out, ruined the cooperative. I couldn't give her proper care. There wasn't any money. Then Craig drove aboard one night, waving a gun. I told him to give it over. He wouldn't do it. Instead, he jumped out of the truck and shot at me.
How many times?
Twice. Then everything came up in me. Gun or no gun, I had to hit him. And I hit him till he was dead.
Now what? Go on.
I put him in the truck and let him roll off the ferry. We didn't think anybody'd ever find out.
We? Who else was in on it?
Nobody. Wasn't anyone else but me on board. Seems like the whole town knew. Walsh, Purcell, Burroughs. They never said a word.
Hey, you got a lot of friends here.
Well, we've been through a lot together. I'd hold my tongue for them, too.
Well, I'm sorry. I can't hold mine.
You're going to.
No, Dad, no!
One murder is enough for a man to bear. Guess I should have turned myself in a long time ago.
That's right, but not for murder.
But I killed Craig.
Now you had to defend yourself. He shot at you twice first, you know.
It's easy to say, no way to prove it.
I wonder. This gun carries 6 bullets. Should be 4 left. One, 2, 3, 4. Defense rests.
Think they'd believe me in court?
Well, like I said, you got a lot of friends here. You've also got a friendly witness about the gun. You wouldn't want me to hold my tongue about that now, would you? Hi there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. Skin diving is certainly a lot of fun, and it's full of adventure. See some more of it again next week, huh? When there'll be another excursion into that fabulous underwater world of Sea Hunt.